Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Work at Home Rockstar podcast. Very excited for today's guest. He's an author and he helps people who feel helpless to expand beyond their limits. Very excited to be rocking out today with Michal Stawicki. Michal, you ready to rock?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. So we always start off on a good note here. So tell me a story of success in your business that we can be inspired by.
Tell me, Tim, how long have you been entrepreneur?
I've been in, full-time, I would say, 14 years?
Okay, so I will go back to my beginning, which was much sooner than yours. Let me think, that was 2017. And the success story is about starting my business. Because next to being an author, I also have my own business. I advertise books on Amazon. And in 2017, I contacted a guy, Pete Smith. I read his book. I liked it very much. And I went to the Amazon, saw his bestseller rank, and it was at the bottom. He sold like maybe 3-5 copies the month before. So I contacted him and gave him just a handful of tips how to improve his book description so he can sell more books. And then I contacted him again after a month, and he said, okay, but the sales didn't come at all. And then I was like, okay, I know how to advertise my own books. I will do the same for you, because the only good thing about the advertising software of Amazon is that you can give access to someone else to run it for you. Like, that's the only thing. It's so clunky. Come on. Yeah. So I just said to him, let's try. And if I succeed, I will just take a commission out of that. Because I was firmly in the camp that I need to provide value to charge, not just give a price tag and then cross my fingers. And we started the ads, and the first month he sold over 100 books. And I was like, yes, I finally know what I can offer, because I've been thinking about starting my own business for years, but I had been a lifelong employee. I had no clue what can I offer. What to do, and this story and also like case study was the proof. Okay, I can provide value. I can start my own thing. I was so excited, and then it appeared that I was just lucky. It was a very good book. That's why we were able to get such results.
Yeah, it's funny that, sometimes you might get some really good early success, but then that makes you a little bit addicted, doesn't it? It made you want to keep on trying to hit that same success, right?
Exactly.
So now along the journey, I mean, we always hit, lots of good notes, of course, but there's also some bad notes as well. So there's some things that just don't go according to plan. I'm guessing that probably your next book that you tried to sell is one of those, but I'm wondering, can you share a story of, something that just didn't go quite as planned, and, maybe there's a lesson in it for us as well?
I think the lesson in those bad notes is always similar. Okay, they are for a reason. You learn from them. It's about my book, Slicing the Hype. It was, I think, 2016. I published one bestseller, then another. I was so sure of myself. Then I published this book, sold a few hundred copies because it was discounted for the book launch, and then it bombed. Like, it was not the first flop, but a very permanent flop. Like, I tried to revive that book a few times. It never really took off. Like, never ever. And I have no clue why. And that's the lesson, yeah, because I always wrote from my own experience. Okay, so I had this idea. Okay, I'm an author, and I'm self-published and I know how to connect with readers, and also I interacted with other authors and how they interacted. So I knew how to create this bond between author and the reader. Wrote a book about this and nothing happened. Like, crickets, come on. And I was, oh, come on, how discouraged I was. I expected it to be something, and it was close to nothing. And then for years, the same story. Like, I know sometimes, some months, I didn't even sold one copy of that book. Terrible. So I think now that I'm very lucky that with 18 books, I had only a couple flops because I never researched the market. It was always, okay, let's write about this. And that's not especially bright idea. Well, maybe I'm genius or what, or I suppose I'm just lucky because I hit the right subject like about a dozen times. And that's the one. The other is that despite the fact that it was a flop, it still got quite a few of good reviews and great feedback from aspiring authors. They read the book and they told me that this book really validated them as an author, and they thought, okay, I can do that. I know how to do that. I can write for those few people who will connect with me. So, well, I think that's a huge thing if you can give confidence to someone to create their own craft. This is what I didn't expect with this book.
Wow, really cool. Well, and there's a lot of there's a lot of lessons in there too, like especially that even relate with music. I mean, you know, oftentimes, I mean, someone might write music that's, you know, what they like, or they might play cover songs that they like, and it doesn't always really translate well. I mean, you know, there's always going to be a few people that are going to enjoy it. And I mean, it sounds like almost the exact same thing, because, you know, you get some certain fans that are like, oh, I really connected with that, and they really love it, right? So they get a lot out of it, but then the majority of the people really don't connect with it at all. And, you know, I think that's, I mean, it's a really good lesson, because I mean, as you're starting in business, just depends on who you want to market to. I mean, you might decide that your business is focused directly on, you know, a small portion of people that are going to be really excited about what you do, and that might work for you. But if you want to create a business that's going to hit the masses, well, then you, like you say, you have to do the market research and figure out what they want to hear, and then, you know, you might end up with a big success like you did, right? So,
Yes,
so now another question about you know, this journey, because I mean, you know, being an author and a publisher and all that stuff, I mean, that's not easy. I'm wondering, you know, did you look for coaches or mentors or anything? Did you do this all by yourself, or do you sort of look for people to help you as well?
Yeah, I started from a personal development point of view, and always those folks, they don't, like, the biggest lie in the self-help is the self part, really. You need others and you need them badly. And so I've been looking for connections. At the very beginning, I was a bit ignorant and didn't do it well. But then I started following one guy, Steve Scott, who was very successful in self-publishing on Amazon. I joined a few groups on Facebook, and it started to snowballing. And like a year after those activities, I looked back and I was like, heck, I was so stupid that from the very beginning, I didn't try to connect with others, but I tried to do it all by myself. And there were so many funny stories, like I published my 4th book and posted the book cover in the Facebook group, and one guy was like, gosh, it's a nightmare. And out of the pity, he read my all 4 covers, like just in 15 minutes in Canva or so, and they were so much better than whatever. I haven't design any of them, but I always supervised the design, and it was horrible. And that's why you need others. You don't know what you don't know. And that's when I discovered that I'm aesthetically blind. I think it's okay. It looks pretty fine. Maybe not a piece of art, but okay. But those covers were nightmare. Like people saw them and ran away screaming. That's my taste, aesthetic taste. Yeah. So you need others. I also joined a few masterminds, and right now I'm in a couple. I started accountability group with 2 guys, and we've been doing it for several years already. Yeah, and also, who says that? Come on, there is a podcast, Business That Lasts, and the host of it, Jay Owen, no, maybe Owen, Jay for sure. He says that you need someone above you, someone next to you, your peers, and someone below to you. So I also coach, and now with my book advertising business, I have plenty of opportunities to teach others what to do with the book description, with the marketing. So yeah, I have all bases covered: mentors and peers, and also people I help.
Nice. Yeah, there's a couple really good things out of there. Like number one, yeah, I mean, you can go out there and start to learn on your own, but as soon as you connect with somebody else and you start learning directly, like a one-on-one, or even, I mean, even in some sort of interactive coaching environment, it just up levels it big time. Like all of a sudden you get like direct feedback, right? But the other thing you mentioned too about having someone above you, someone next to you, and someone below you, that is extremely good advice. I know that in my journey, you know, I tend to, you know, you're always going to learn from somebody who's above you because, you know, they have experiences that you don't have yet. And you also are going to be able to keep each other accountable when you have somebody next to you. But the people below you, when you're teaching someone else, you learn at a whole different level, because now, you know, you might understand it for yourself, but you're going to understand it at a whole different level when you try to explain it to somebody else, right? And so
Absolutely.
I think that's really, really good advice. Now, what about practicing? What about, you know, getting good at what you do? You know, is there any, you know, advice you can give us, or how do you stay sharp with what you're doing?
I don't think that practicing has much to do with staying sharp. Practice is practice. You need to keep practicing. Like, I cannot recall from where I got this, but someone told that this deliberate practice, it has different levels. Sometimes you just practice to keep it at the current level, because if you don't practice, if you don't use it, you lose it. And the truly deliberate practice to get better, yeah, it takes quite a lot of energy, time, focus, attention, and but I'm pretty lazy, so I try to improve by very, very small increments, and it happens by consistent practice. Like my friends nickname me Mr. Consistency because I'm doing like few dozen daily habits day by day, and that's been my experience. When you do something daily, it compounds. Like it's just a law of nature. You cannot get worse by practicing. I remember that after a year or so of writing, yeah, I went into Amazon, started reading the reviews of my books, and I was like, come on, there's something here. Okay, I'm a decent writer. I don't know why. Like I wrote only several 100,000 words, but people like what I do. So, and then I was like, okay, if anything, that's because of practice, because I wrote, I have been writing every day for years since 2016. So it's exactly 5 years right now. And that's the whole secret, I would say, because I'm not a super talented writer. For sure, I'm not Stephen King, and I'm not even, Brian Tracy of nonfiction. But because I practiced, I got better. That's sure. Are you familiar with the Talent Code book?
No, not yet. I'm gonna write down though.
Okay, so come on, I'm so bad at remembering names, but I remember titles. The Talent Code is all about deliberate practice, how people are becoming masters of what they do. And he research sportsmen and musicians and entrepreneurs and so on.
Yeah.
But mainly those performers, sportsmen and musicians. And also he went into the biological research, and what science has discovered is that when you practice, you create, of course, this path of neurons in your brain. But if you practice consistently and keep using those paths, a substance called myelin gather around those paths, and it allows those neural impulses to go even faster through this path. So you are accelerating your skill, and it applies to everything. It's very easy to narrow it down to your skills in a specific sport or a specific instrument. But the same happens with complicated things like coding or technical skills. Whatever it's like the biological mechanism. Whatever we practice, we are getting better at it.
Agree, 100%. So now, now that you're good at what you do, and you've got some people to help you along the way, how do you keep the hat full? How do you make sure that your cash flow is positive in your business then?
And there is a book, this time I remember the name because I met the guy, Mike Michalowicz. The book is Profit First. So the whole concept of it is whenever you have incoming payment, you know how to divide it for different purposes: taxes, fixed costs, payroll, to pay yourself, and so on. And first of all, the profit which is set aside, its purpose is not to reinvest, it's a profit. The business is for profit, and that should be the first thing. But most small business owners act in different paradigm. They got the money and they pay the bills or pay the people or invest in something, and then they think, where is my cash? So it is very, very good concept, and it's coming from those envelope systems of our grandparents when they get the salary and divide it into envelopes. Okay, we need to pay bills, we need to pay mortgage, this is for groceries, and so on. And it's the same concept, just applied to business. And one of the biggest advantages of it is that Mike says you need to have several bank accounts for those specific purposes. And then when you log in to your bank, you can see, okay, fixed costs, taxes, all the figures at one glance. And it's so easy, even for overwhelmed small business owners, to just have a look at the bank accounts, plural, and know what they are, where they are. So this is really great concept, and I intuitively applied it in my own business. But in my mastermind, I have guys with multi-million businesses, and I remember one guy said that he just saved $40,000 like that because he started using this system.
Wow. Really cool. I actually use a envelope system and a and a bank account system as well. And I have been actually for several years now, and it does work really great. I mean, even with my credit card, I've got an account for my credit card, and every time I make a purchase on my credit card, I put the money into that account so that I can save the interest, and I don't have to pay it right away. But also it's just a better way to kind of make sure that you're not overspending, because before I got into trouble financially because you just throw everything on the credit card, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I don't have the money to pay that. So having some sort of envelope system or whatever and just dividing it up up front is a great idea. So I'm glad you mentioned that. That's really cool. So now what about, like, so as a author, like, how do you keep track of your expenses versus your income then?
Well, I actually track my book sales every day, and the main vehicle for my sales are my ads on Amazon, and I'm spending right now, it's very modest because I'm changing my system, so I'm spending just around $1,000 a month on ads. So every day I log in and I compare what I spent yesterday with what I sold yesterday. And it's like the core of my own business, because this is what I do for my customers. So I'm making sure it's still working every day. And like, this is overkill, but I'm a numbers guy. I just love crunching numbers. But it's a basic. I remember learning from Steve Scott. He said the same thing: track your sales every day, or when you get a grasp what's going on, then maybe once a week, but do track your numbers.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, that's what I wanted to find out from you as well, because I mean, I think every day too. But I mean, it's one of those things where, the longer you let it go before you check it, the more likely you could be in trouble. And I mean, if you're doing it every day, well, then oh, I had a bad day today. And then it just corrects you for the next day, rather than, waiting a month or doing it once a month or anything like that. So I'm glad to hear you say that I'm just as meticulous as that. But I also say, okay, fine, maybe once a week, but I don't think it's overkill at all to do it once a day. Yeah. So now it's time for your guest solo. So tell me what's exciting in your business then.
The exciting thing about my business is that it's my business. I remember 2012 when I got this realization, okay, I need to start a business. But as I said, I was a lifelong employee. I had no clue what to do, how to start, taxes, nothing, zero, below zero. So now I'm really excited that I'm doing several gigs. I'm coaching, have books, and writing on Medium, and my business, book advertising. Like, for your audience, I would say my latest book, which is The Remarkable Power of Consistency. This is kind of autobiography of mine. I included 8 years of yearly reports of my progress with everything I've done. And it's just to inspire people like me who they have very little clue what they are doing, because we hear those totally awesome success stories. I remember a guy on your podcast 2 or 3 episodes ago. He started his business and then he were making $100,000s in the first year or so. Come on. And great story, of course, but most of us cannot relate to that at all. And then we are trying to replicate this and we fail. So what do we think? Okay, I'm no good, I'm not enough, and so on. So that's why I wrote that book. I wrote that report first on my blog, then I put it together into a book. So people can have this feeling that you don't have to be enormous success. It's your level of success, what's enough for you, and that's good enough, seriously. And there are others like you, and like for every super duper success story, there are like thousands of those moderate success story. and they are still success because it's enough for those folks. Yeah, I'm making full-time living. I'm supporting my family of 5 with my own thing. Like I'm making, the most I made in 1 month was $8,000. Nothing truly impressive, but my cost of living in Poland is not so high. We have great lifestyle. Come on, you can do the same. You don't have to be a multi-billionaire.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the thing. I mean, there's 2 things there. Number one is that different locations have different costs of living, and so someone who maybe might be making $100,000 a year, but their cost of living might be a lot higher as well. So they might not actually be taking home as much as you might be taking by earning half that. So there's always like some sort of like, don't just look at the figure, look at the lifestyle that you're creating out of it. And
my friend Jim Palmer has great saying that gross is for vanity, net is for sanity.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. And that's the thing. I mean, what I want to do to inspire people on this show, on the Work at Home Rockstar podcast, is I want to help people create lifestyles. I mean, the reason why I started my business in the first place was not to become a millionaire. I started this because I wanted to have some freedom over my life. I wanted to be able to schedule my time when I want to schedule my time. And I wanted to have the ability to, be very excited about what I was doing and take the company in the direction that I want to take it in, rather than going in the direction that my boss wants me to take it in. So really it's all about lifestyle for me. And I hope that people who are listening to this are, if you want to go make $1 million, great, go do it. However, lifestyle first, right? And then, then the millions, because I mean, chances are you're going to have a more successful business if you have a good lifestyle, right?
Amen.
Now, so how can we buy your book? Where do we find you?
Go to Amazon and type my name, type the title of the book, The Remarkable Power of Consistency, and you'll find it.
Awesome. And so your name is spelled Michal for those who are listening. And type that in.
English speakers usually, when they see my name, they say Michal Stawicki.
Yeah, I said Michal Stawicki at first, but really it's Michal Stawicki. Right on. Well, thank you so much, Michal, for rocking out with me today. This has been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. It was great fun for me as well. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. And to the listeners, make sure you subscribe, rate, and comment, and we'll see you next time on the Work at Home Rockstar podcast.